Magdalena, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. I know my team and I know a little bit about your journey. It's been an inspiring and interesting journey, to say the least. I know some of that journey has been in the UAE, and you've been able to scale that as you go. Do you want to give us a little bit of background of your journey into the UAE initially?
Of course. First of all, Sheldon, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm really glad, and I'm happy to talk about the topics we're going to cover today.
Yes.
So my journey as an entrepreneur, I started running my own business about 9 years ago,
Okay.
After being in high volume retail environment for about 15 years.
Yes.
Very different environment, very corporate environment. And when I moved to Dubai,
Yes.
11 years ago,
Uh-huh.
from the UK, I went into a very similar corporate environment, a very similar type of company. But I always knew that I was meant to create something, build something, run something, but I never had that final kick
Yes.
to do it. And Dubai gave it to me. First of
Okay.
all, I wasn't happy in my corporate world anymore.
Yes.
But secondly, I just saw opportunities everywhere. And I
Sure.
needed that. So one beautiful day, I resigned.
Wow.
I resigned and I started an events company that ran quite well for 2 or 3 years, almost
Yes.
3 years actually.
Yes.
But then life took me to a very different place. I was faced with a critical illness.
Okay.
And when that happened, you kind of start re-evaluating your life and thinking what's really important.
Of course.
And first of all, you try to save your health. You try to
Yes.
save yourself. So
Sure.
I stepped back. I said, this is the time of my life when I don't have time for the rat race, when I don't have time to constantly run around my business
Yes.
because it's just not worth it.
You
You
sure?
know, if the business survives, but if I don't survive, then what?
Yeah, what's the point of the business?
What's the point?
Yeah,
Absolutely zero. So I took a step back, and now, I was lucky to have support of my family, of my friends. Obviously, I started looking at what I can do to take matters in my own hands.
Yes.
Okay? And a very big part of that was what I eat
Sure.
and my lifestyle, which was very, very different to what I ate before
Okay.
and my lifestyle before. Because, yes, I was very young, I was running around. It was constantly about achieving more,
Yeah.
grabbing something out there that...
What's next?
What's next? It was
Yeah.
never stopping. So during that time, when I decided, okay, it's the time to take care of myself,
Yes.
I started thinking, okay, now when I go back to work, to my kind of business life, what
So
do I
let's
do?
just let me stop you there for a second, just so I understand, just for context. So you were running your events business in
Yes.
Dubai.
Yes.
You were 3 years into it?
About 2 years.
Roughly?
About 3 years.
Okay. Now, during that initial phase of the business, because I mean that's still the incubator phase of most businesses, you're still building at that stage.
Yes.
That's when your illness happens.
Yes.
All right. So tough time for that to happen. When that happens, you get diagnosed, you do what you do, you get the shock of it, you decide I need to stop a bit, I need to take a step back. Or do you first say, listen, I'm just going to push on with the business? Because that's an interesting conversation to have with yourself, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a life-threatening illness.
Sure.
It was cancer. So at that point, nothing else was more important
Yeah.
than staying alive.
Fair enough.
Because it was such a shock.
Yeah.
And I was diagnosed at a fairly late stage. So I wasn't even aware that something like that may happen. And when it was discovered, it was very, very late.
Sure.
So everything else became
Secondary.
non-existent, not important, just my health and my family.
Rightfully
because
so.
it wasn't just myself I was worried about. I was worried about what my guys do without me.
Of course.
I have lots of empathy in me, so straight away
Yes.
I was thinking about others.
Okay.
And then my business, I run it with 2 other people, my 2
Yes.
partners.
Okay.
However, it was my first business. And my 2 people was my husband and my best friend, who had full-time jobs elsewhere. So without me, for them it was quite difficult to run it.
Sure.
Because we were not at the stage that they could drop everything.
So it was your full time, they were...
Yes.
I know the journey gets interesting after that, but let's go back a little bit. So there's quite a bit to unpack there. So you said your journey, well, not your journey, but your retail journey in terms of being in the retail space started in London or the UK,
yes,
right?
Yes.
How long was that journey?
Oh my God, it started in 2002, I think, or 2004.
Okay.
Something around that time, so about 20 years ago now.
My goodness, okay, so considerable amount of time. What I'm trying to, the reason I ask that is you then transitioned to the UAE for a number of reasons, I'm sure. Yes, all right, so that transition was a tough one.
Very.
But on the flip side, you said UAE gave you, maybe injected that entrepreneurial spirit into you. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Maybe the retail space, no, but I guess we all a little bit like that. You come to the UAE and it's quite inspiring from an entrepreneurial standpoint. So I guess that gave you that push or that ambition, for lack of a better word, to step into your own space, which you then did.
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah. I think, and tell us a little bit about, just on a factual basis, that setup from deciding to go, okay, I'm in the retail space, I'm a little bit unhappy, it's not going the way I'm used to, I'm going to take a leap into entrepreneurship here. How easy was that transition in terms of the actual logistics of it and setting up the company and getting the licenses? And how did that look?
Okay, so I knew nothing about it at that
Sure.
stage. And I thought, just go to, some sort of a government's office,
Sure.
and I'll just say I'm starting a company.
Yes,
Obviously,
yes.
that's not the case.
Yeah.
So I had to do a lot of homework, and
Okay.
this space is extremely crowded with information,
Mm-hmm.
with agencies,
Yes.
with advisors, and everyone tells you something different. Okay, and at that stage, when I decided, okay, I'm going to go and run my own business now, and my first thing to do was, okay, I'll just do what I always used to do, but as a consultant.
Sure.
So I ended up setting up a free zone license with some consulting services as the main area.
We obviously have this discussion, it's a common discussion we have. I think it's fair to say that the UAE has become more business friendly over the years in terms of 100% ownership for foreign shareholders, and that can be done in the mainland, and I think the registration is a shorter period of time. So logistically, you managed it.
Yes.
It wasn't impossible. It had some challenges, but it's evolved since then. So now take me back. I just want to unpack everything you said at the beginning. You run the business. How do you then, your health, you have the issues with your health, you get the diagnosis, you then say, I'm going to take a step back, let's take a step forward from there. What does that look like?
Right, so it probably took me about 2 years.
Okay.
From when I closed my events company
Yes.
to when I started my next, or even 3 years. It was a long time.
Amazing.
But part of it was because I wanted to be more clever about how I run and how I start a business. I spent the time on researching.
Yes.
When I had my idea finally that, okay, I know what I'm doing now. I
Yeah.
knew what my life's mission was finally.
Amazing.
But I thought, okay, maybe it's just I'm getting excited.
Yes.
But I need to do more research. So I was comfortable enough at
Sure.
home with my husband having full-time job. I had the time to do it.
Okay.
So I was reading a lot, studying a lot, researching a lot.
So you had the foundation in
I had the
place, which is
foundation,
helpful.
and then I knew, okay,
Yeah.
I'm ready to start now.
So Magdalena, just for context, just for the viewers, so you take that time between closing the business and getting your diagnosis, you take a 2-3 year, for lack of a better word, let's call it sabbatical, even though I understand it's not a sabbatical. You take that time and you still, even during that process, obviously there's the initial shock of whatever's happening and trying to make sense of all of that. You decide, okay, I'm going to do a deep dive here into what I want to do next. So you take that 2 or 3 years to really think
Yeah.
about it and dive into it. Was a lot of that based on what you were going through at the time in terms of the business transition?
It was.
Okay.
It was. It's very much connected because my business now is all about healthy olive oil, balsamic vinegar.
Amazing.
It's very nutritional based.
Yes.
And my health journey obviously took me there. I changed my eating habits, and in the process I learned that healthy fat is extremely important.
Amazing.
That's something I was not aware of. Advice on every
How
single
did you
level.
learn that, Magdalena? How? Did you just do a deep dive yourself? So,
Yes.
So were you guided by a practitioner, or did you just decide, I'm going to ride this thing out myself? I know what intuitively I know. So
I'll tell you
yeah.
exactly what happened.
Yeah.
When I got diagnosed, after dealing with the initial shock and how to actually get treated, I understood, okay,
Yes.
what the medical way of getting over, you can never get over cancer, but
Fair
treating
enough.
cancer is,
Yeah.
I felt like I needed to take matters in my own hands a bit more, because
Wow.
whatever happens to you in the hospital is totally out of you just follow the doctor's orders
Sure.
because they are the experts. But I felt
Yeah.
I can do more. So I started, the first thing you do, you ask Dr. Google.
Of course you do.
And Dr. Google tells you all sorts of
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
And
yeah,
some
yeah,
of
yeah.
them are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
But more and more I read, the more I saw the importance of high-fat, low-carb diets.
Amazing.
So then I started reading proper medical and research papers. I
Yes.
was like, oh my God, I can almost heal myself if
Wow.
I get rid of carbs
Yes.
and start putting a lot of fat in my body.
Sure.
And so that was something that
Unbelievable.
mentally I had to go over with, like, fat, like what? But with
Which
so
is kind of counterintuitive to what's out there. So
very much.
Yeah.
At least back then, I was
Of
diagnosed
course.
6 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I started reading, I knew, okay, that's my path. This is how I'm
Yes.
going to take matters in my own hands.
Yes.
And I started slowly transitioning into that way of eating. While I was doing more research, I realized it's not any fat.
Yes.
It's good fat, and the most healthy fat, like known to man, is extra virgin olive oil.
Amazing.
So it's like, okay, this is going to
Yeah,
be
yeah,
my
yeah.
oil. And then I thought, okay, but one bottle in the supermarket is 30 dirhams, another is 200 dirhams. Why? Is
Yeah,
it
yeah.
the bottle that looks fancy? What
Yeah,
is
yeah,
it?
yeah.
So I started doing deeper research.
So you started looking at, and a lot of people don't do this, you started turning the bottle around and looking at the
Of
label.
course. Still, there was no information. I
Yeah.
still didn't know, apart from this is Italian, this is Spanish.
Sure.
So what?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I didn't know the
Wow.
difference. So I started digging deep,
Yes.
and I realized that not all olive oil is different, not olive oil is equal.
Yes.
And you really need to understand the chemical structure of that oil
Yeah.
to give you the health benefit or not to give you the
Wow.
health benefit.
Wow, wow, wow.
But this information, I knew what I was then looking for. I knew I was looking for extra virgin olive oil that was from early harvest, meaning
Yes.
from green olives, and that had a certain amount of polyphenols inside, because the polyphenols is what help you heal. It's the
Unbelievable.
antioxidants in your body, so it's the
Okay.
polyphenols.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to have at least 500 mg per kilogram.
Amazing.
Do you find that on the label?
Well, not that I've seen.
Exactly.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
In
yeah.
probably 99.9% you never find that.
Your journey made you focus predominantly on olive oil, based
Yes.
on what you got out of it. So it was a health-based decision. And how did that, so all that research, you then start, I mean, what's your first step? How do you say,
Okay.
I'm going to go find olive oil? I
I'll
mean,
tell
what
you
is-
how it happened exactly.
Yeah.
One beautiful day, towards the end of my chemotherapy sessions, I had
Yes.
16 of them, so it was probably, I don't know, number 14 or something like that.
Yes,
My friend
yes.
was with me, we were chatting. I said, listen, I'll be done with it all very soon.
Yes.
What do I do with my life?
Yes.
And we started talking about the way I eat,
Yes.
how it makes me feel, how healthy I feel, how quickly I recover. And then I thought, listen, that's a business idea, because what happened to me, I knew that olive oil I was looking for, okay? I knew this technical kind of specification.
Sure.
Throughout my entire treatment, I couldn't find the right information here in this country.
Yes.
There was no advice in shops, not in best supermarkets, not in health stores,
Yes.
not zero specialist retailers. Like, for example, if you're in Italy or Spain or Poland, you have little corner shops that specialize, I don't know, in your cheeses.
Sure,
and
like a boutique.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Here, nothing. Or
That's
even
right.
if there was something that looked like, okay, they look more upscale specialist,
Yeah.
there was zero advice. So I thought, okay, there is literally millions of people suffering with cancer and lots of other chronic diseases.
Yeah.
And if I was willing to go to the lengths of importing directly from producers abroad to get my olive oil, or asking friends traveling, get me that olive oil while you are there, because I knew it was medicine for me.
Of course.
I thought,
incredible.
but it was such a hassle. It was so much, it was expensive. It was a hassle. And I thought, I'll resolve that problem.
Yes.
First of all, for myself.
Yeah, I'll go straight to source, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I thought, that's a business idea, because I felt it's a big market. It's a very niche market, and it needs a lot of education, because I needed to educate myself to understand why I would spend 200-300 dirhams on a bottle of olive oil, because it's medicine. It's not just a medium to fry your eggs, for example, right?
Great. That's a great point. Yeah.
So I got from one point to another. I was like, okay, there's a gap in the market. There's a product that I need. The product doesn't exist here. Knowledge doesn't exist here. Expertise is not here.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll do it. And then going from that, I thought, okay, what goes, because I wanted this to be quite commercial, and having come from a retail buying environment.
The ability to scale it.
Yeah, so I thought, okay, I'll start with my core product category, extra virgin olive oil.
Yes.
And then I added balsamic vinegar to it.
Wow.
Because I thought, okay, A, it's healthy, B, it's still quite, it has a story of being authentic. You can buy directly from producers. It's not like mass production. And it goes well together. It's like a nice cross-sell category.
Sure.
However, the idea evolved, because at the beginning, what I'm telling you now, it was kind of the final stage.
Sure.
Initially, I thought maybe I can do some sort of meal planning. Or I don't know, something to do with nutrition. But I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a doctor. How can I advise anyone? I can't. I just wouldn't feel right. So I thought, okay, I'm a buyer. I'm a retail buyer. I've been always in buying.
Yes.
I like working with suppliers. I like negotiating deals with them. I like going on buying trips, sampling.
It's your comfortable space.
Yeah, I like creating product ranges.
Sure.
I can build the pricing structure. I understand margins. I can do that.
That's pretty broad, Magdalena, to be fair. I mean, you make it sound simple, but there's a lot to that. So you leaned into your strength, really?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I thought, okay, I like that, but do I love it? No, but I love to travel, and I love to eat, and I like good food. And I thought, I'll travel to the Mediterranean. Italy will be where I go for my business trips.
There we go.
So I put all of these together.
Yeah.
And I ended up with setting up an e-commerce store and becoming a distributor and importer. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And all based, in terms of your e-commerce, out of the UAE, right?
All here.
And so we see a lot of consulting-based businesses and non-tangible production businesses in the UAE. I guess that commercial side of it leans into that. So it's very interesting to meet someone that's in a production sense and then in a distribution market. So you kind of across the full value chain. How easy is that to set up here? That's got to be...
Okay. I see it now. I could do it again. I understand what needs to happen.
Yeah.
But I didn't back then. Okay. So I knew that to become because it wasn't very clear to me at the beginning, am I just an e-commerce shop or am I a distributor? What am I?
Yeah, I guess what I'm trying to say, there's a lot of boxes to tick there. I mean, you're going, I would think if you're distributing perishables, which I know, I think olive oil has a fairly long lifespan from what I understand.
It has and it hasn't.
Okay.
A year, let's say, right?
Okay, sure. So that's still, it's a perishable.
Yeah.
So what I mean is you need licensing for certain perishables. You need specific trade license, I would assume. Then you've got an e-commerce angle, which is a different business entirely. So that's, I mean, yeah.
So, I was looking initially at setting up an free zone business because it sounded like a cheaper option. Everyone said, oh, e-commerce, easy, free zone.
Yes.
I said, all right. But then taking into perspective the fact that I was physically going to import directly from producers in Europe, mainly in Europe. Now I even import olive oil from South Africa, for example.
Hey, nice place, Tim.
I was like, okay, but every single product needs to be registered with Dubai municipality.
There we go.
If my business is registered as a free zone, I won't be able to register any of the products with Dubai municipality because
Yes.
Dubai municipality serves businesses set up with Dubai economic department.
Sure.
So I was okay. So how does that work?
So much.
So
to think
someone
about,
told me,
yeah.
okay, you need to find a local distributor.
Yes.
I said, another person in the chain? No, that was the whole point, that I control the entire supply chain or value chain. Because
Correct.
not to lose the quality of these products,
Sure.
you need to have the control over these elements, the temperature, the storage, the transportation.
Yes.
You need to control every single step.
Unbelievable.
So
yeah.
I thought, okay, I can't. And having had some conversations with local distributors, I was
Yes.
like, okay, I haven't found anyone I could fully trust.
Yes.
So I thought, no, that's not going to work. I need to set up a business within Dubai,
Yes.
mainland
Okay.
entity. And that was the time when the requirement for having a local sponsorship
Yes.
was lifted. I was like, yes, that
Okay.
is my
Great
time.
timing. Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, I did end up setting up a business which is fully licensed within Dubai.
Yes.
It's food and beverage trading.
Amazing.
When I obviously had to list specifically the product categories I was going to trade
Yes,
in.
yes.
So now I am fully allowed to register my products, to trade, to import, to re-export, and to also distribute within the UAE.
Amazing.
But also
Yeah.
run my own e-commerce operation out of that. Everything is based here. My warehouse is
So
based here.
is all of that, is that under one umbrella in terms of your, for lack of a better word, the license? All of that value chain falls under one umbrella.
It is.
That's
It
unbelievable.
is.
Yeah.
But please note that I outsource certain things.
Fair enough.
So distribution and order fulfillment, I
Yeah.
don't own a warehouse.
Sure.
I found a local partner.
Of course.
But all these, I can physically get products imported into this country,
Yeah.
get them released from a port, delivered to anywhere in the UAE. It's under one umbrella.
Okay, what a huge stretch. Yeah, that must have been some serious heavy lifting, but what an amazing journey. So
Thank
that
you.
journey has been going on for how long now?
Over 3 years. I'm actually just about to renew my license next month for the
Amazing.
4th time.
Okay. So yeah, I've looked into your business, and I mean, incredible success story.
Thank you.
I think inspiring, and I think it also gives the viewers a chance to see that, look, there's certain niche things that you can do in Dubai or the UAE, but think as broad as you need to. It would allow you to do that. I mean, you're living testament to that. So yeah,
The niche,
it's amazing.
definitely.
Yeah.
And I'm happy I found my niche.
Yes.
But also I realized that to have a significant success in a niche market is very, very tough. Because when I think about this, I was like, okay, are there any billionaires out there who succeeded on a tiny niche like mine? I don't know.
Yeah.
I
it's a
don't
good
know.
question. Yeah.
And I always had very high ambitions because I really want
Nothing
to
wrong with that.
help.
Yeah.
I want to have the freedom to give half of my earnings to a charity, to
Yes.
take 6 months off my business and go and help children in Africa, whatever. I love.
So there was a philanthropic angle to
Absolutely.
What you,
That's
amazing.
why I do what I do, to have that freedom.
Yes.
To serve other people. And I thought, with a small, tiny niche business, can I achieve that? I can probably achieve, a self-fulfillment
Sure.
and a good salary.
Yes.
But is that enough for me in life? Probably not.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, I need to scale up somehow.
Sure,
I need to
sure,
make
sure,
it bigger.
sure.
So, the plan is to go across a wider range of categories.
Okay.
That's one thing. But also, just running an e-commerce is not enough.
Okay.
It's not enough, at least not in this tiny niche.
Sure.
So I really wanted to start acting more as a distributor.
Okay.
And this is where it gets really tough.
Yes.
Because suddenly, a single company
Sure.
run by a single woman
Yes. Yes.
has to compete with hundreds of very well-established distributors.
It's a great point. Yeah.
Who supply all the big supermarkets, who supply all the top hotels.
Yes.
And also what happens at that stage, even when I get to see the right people at the, I don't know, the top hotels or top restaurants, they see a small business like me, very exciting, very inspiring. They see this is our expert. She can change a lot in our business, bring lots of products. We can get expertise and training and education. But she's a risk. She's a liability because she is a small company, and she has maybe 50 products on her portfolio, not 5,000, not 10,000. How then do you beat that? So I'm at that stage right now.
Okay, so I mean, exciting and challenging times. So essentially, are you telling us to watch this space? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, watch this space, and I say absolutely go for it.
Yes.
But don't be too optimistic that things will click just like that. Because with
advice.
e-commerce, it's a little bit easier. You can invest a lot into Google ads, into social media ads, into marketing is everything.
Yes.
But here, when you talk about suddenly working with very large companies, when you are not, it's a very different way of working. You need to know people, you need to network, you really need to prove yourself, gain that trust before anyone starts working with you.
I hear you, Magdalena. Okay, I think that's a good place to wrap. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. Again, an inspiring story, and I assure you we will watch this space.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.